topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Who is January Jones? She is not a young, beautiful, talented actress on Mad Men. She is not an older, gorgeous, exotic dancer from the Johnny Carson show. She is an author, and she wrote Thou Shalt Not Whine, the 11th Commandment, that reached #1 at Amazon.com. She is a reality TV golf personality with World High Stakes Golf televised on HDNet. She is a humorist and winologist expert. She is your featured host today on January Jones Sharing Success Stories. So sit back, relax, and get ready to laugh and listen to Ms. Jones with her eclectic roster of guests as you learn life's lessons. These stories plus sharing equals success. Welcome, and remember, beware, because you are entering the no whining world of January Jones.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a glittery and glowing day. I'm January Jones, and I'd like to welcome you to our podcast. It's so exciting. I'm launching a new brand, Glitter Granny. Yes, and you can see I have my glitter wallet, my glitter drink, my glitter turquoise hat, and guess what? My glitter cane that matches my hat. These are all things that you can buy and get for yourself too if you go to glittergranny.com. Now for my listeners, let me ask you a question. Have you ever met a TV actress? Tell me, do you know who Norman Lear is? Well, yeah, we all know who he is. He was the one who created Facts of Life and so many other incredible shows. Do you know anyone, have you ever met anyone with a disability? Are you ready to meet someone who has a very unique and very interesting story to share with us today? Have you ever heard of an incredible book called Geri's Gems and Jewels? If you can answer yes or maybe to any of these questions, then you are in the right place. And I'd like to welcome you to January Jones sharing Senior Success. Yes, you heard me right, Senior Success. So now it's time, rest, relax, go get some cheese, get some crackers. Oh yeah, and grab some wine as you enter the no wine zone. Now, let me tell you a little bit our guest today. Our guest today was discovered by Norman Lear, whose career in television included All in the Family, Maude, and as I mentioned before, Facts of Life, and many, many other shows. My guest was cast as Cousin Geri in the Facts of Life. She was born with cerebral palsy in 1956. She has now spent 4 decades as an actor, a comedian, humorist, and now an author of Geri's Gems and Jewels. It is my pleasure to welcome to our podcast today, Geri Jewell. Hi, Geri. How you doing today, dear?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're so happy to have you with us today. I've looked forward to this interview, and I've been a fan of yours for years, and so it's so incredible to finally meet you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. No, for sure. Well, let's begin with your story. Tell us where you were born and how who inspired you. Yes, who inspired you, and share with us some things about your early career.
Well, I was born in Buffalo, New York.
Oh,
That was my first disability.
Well, we have a son-in-law who was born in Buffalo, and he went to Canisius. And every winter, when I see the snow falls about 30 inches, maybe there, I always call him and remind him how nice it is to live in California.
I know. Well, I left Buffalo when I was 18 months old.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't grow up in Buffalo.
okay.
My parents needed to find a correct diagnosis for me because my mom knew there was something wrong.
Uh-huh.
And she kept taking me from doctor to doctor in New York, and nobody could really diagnose me correctly.
Oh,
And there was one doctor who said that it was best to put me in an institution and not get too attached to me. Well,
oh, no.
yeah, give her up now before you become too attached to her because she's only going to cause grief.
Oh,
And my parents had no intention of giving me up. And at that time, UCLA was the most progressive hospital in diagnosing birth defects.
uh-huh.
And so my parents relocated to LA, and I was diagnosed at UCLA at 18 months old. So I bought my family out to California.
Okay. Well, the part about your inability, your affliction with cerebral palsy, that's not the good part. But the good part really is them coming to California, because we've lived in California for 40 years. Are you still there now?
Pardon?
Are you still in California now?
Yes,
Yes.
I am. I mean,
Okay.
I've lived in a lot of different places, but I'm back in LA.
So let's back up to once your parents got you to UCLA, they were able to properly diagnose you, right?
Correct.
Oh,
I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, combination apatoid and axia.
okay.
People don't realize that there's a lot of different versions of CP.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that was my version.
Okay. So once your disability was diagnosed, and you were at that point quite small, you weren't even 2 years old, what kind of treatment did they give you as a little baby?
They started me in school immediately.
Really?
It
Wow.
was a school in Long Beach for just babies with CP.
Oh.
And in fact, I remember my teacher, her name was Hazel Olds.
Well, we all remember our first teacher. Isn't that fun?
And she was my teacher from 18 months old until age 7.
Oh, wow. Did you live at home, or did you live with her?
I lived at home, and my dad worked, and my mom couldn't drive, so she put me in a taxi every morning to school.
Oh my gosh. That's the early version of Uber.
Well, you know what? I learned my independence very young.
I bet you did. Yeah, I just put 2 of my grandkids on Uber today. They flew in, and so they're going to stay with us. And I use Uber all the time. We're doing a commercial for them.
Wow. Okay.
So you were in school as a baby, and you were with her till you were 7. And I'm so delighted to hear that you actually were able to live at home, because I've talked to other people with disabilities, and they weren't allowed to live at home. They had to stay wherever they were sent.
Well, my parents, especially my mom, was so proactive. I
Wow.
mean, they sold almost all their living room furniture to make room for parallel bars, standing tables, so I could do exercises and learn how to walk at home as well as school. The only thing they wouldn't give up was the TV.
That bodes well for your future.
Well, you know what's interesting? Do you know what a standing table is?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, where they lock you in the standing position in a table, and they put me in front of the TVs.
Well, I was raised that way too. And now all my grandkids, they are all in front of their iPads or their iPhones. We're going to take a break right now. And this next commercial is for anyone out there who is a whiner or who knows a whiner. This is just for you.
Lately, there's a whining epidemic in our world. People are even whining about whining. Are you sick and tired of listening to everyone whining all the time? So was January Jones, the author of Thou Shalt Not Whine, the 11th Commandment, that reached #1 at Amazon.com. Ms. Jones based her book on a survey of the top 10 things that people whine about at all ages and all stages of life. January is a success coach that can tell you how to help others. When you buy Thou Shalt Not Whine, the 11th Commandment, you'll find out what people whine about and how to stop them from whining. This is the perfect gift book to give or get for any occasion. Thou Shalt Not Whine was voted the best gift to be given anonymously for those special people in your life. Ms. Jones is an internationally known author in the style of Irma Bombeck, specializing in housewife humor, with her book being published in Korea and China. You can find Thou Shalt Not Whine at Amazon.com.
Welcome back. My delightful guest today, Geri Jewell, and we've been sharing her story. Geri, I'm curious, were you an only child, and what type of work did your father do that you could just move? Oh, I see your kitty cat there.
Yeah, she won't put her butt to the camera.
Yeah, that's fun.
Her name is Kiki. Her name is Kiki, and she is a Japanese bobtail. I did not cut her tail off.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I'm glad to hear that. Oh, she's adorable. How old is she?
She's 4 now.
4 now. Okay. Yeah.
She was born during the California lockdown.
Okay. Yeah, I bet. Oh,
I
wonderful.
guess the parents had nothing better to do than to make babies during that time.
Well, when we take our next break, I'm going to introduce you to my little golden doodle ginger ale. So she wants to be a star too. Okay, going back. Were you an only child, and what type of work did your dad do?
Well, I was the third born. I had 2 older brothers, David and Brad, who were 10 and 7 when I was born. And later, 3 years later, I had a younger sister, Gloria, who was born.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. That's great. And what did your dad do for a living that the family could move from Buffalo to LA? That's a big move.
Well, he dabbled in different jobs. He was a chef in World War II in the Navy.
Oh, okay.
And so he got a job as a cook initially, but he gave up his job at DuPont in New York to move all the way here.
Oh, wonderful. What a wonderful.
They sacrificed so much for me.
Yeah,
and then eventually he was in the cemetery business for years.
Oh, okay. Okay. So then you were with your wonderful teacher till you were 7. Then what type of schooling did you do at 8 years old?
Well, I couldn't get out of the special ed system. Once you're in it, it's hard to get out. So I was immediately put into special ed with all kinds of different children with disabilities. Age 7 until I was 15 years old, I was in special ed.
Okay. And were you still able to live at home during that time?
Oh God, yes,
Oh,
of course.
good. Because I've had other guests who weren't able, and I think that's so wonderful that you could be with your family and your brothers and sister. That's fabulous.
Oh, it was a blessing.
So did your education stop at 15, or were you able to go to college?
Now, at 15, I was finally allowed to integrate into a regular high school.
Oh,
Not totally inclusive. They weren't there yet, but
mhm.
I went to the same high school that my brother went to, and I was allowed to take some regular classes, and then they had special classes.
Uh-huh.
In this one department, the OH, orthopedically handicapped department, that's what they called it.
Okay. This is really a fascinating story that you're sharing. And I'm sure for some of my listeners, you may be the first person with a disability that they've been able to chit chat with. And I think this is a real gift that you're giving all of us today. Okay. So after high school, then what did you do?
Anesthesia? I don't like to say nutshell. Anesthesia, I went to college for 3 years.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
But they were, after 3 years, the State Department of Rehabilitation was trying to decide whether to transfer me to UCLA or Cal State Fullerton. And my mom was really excited about that because she always told me, you gotta use your brain because your body isn't gonna get you.
Well, little did she know. You showed her.
No, she was right. She wanted me to be educated. She said that nobody can take your knowledge away.
No, you're right.
Fill your head with knowledge.
That's so wonderful.
And I decided that I did not want to go to a 4-year college. I wanted to be a stand-up comic.
Okay, now you've got me. And so you were, I believe, 22 years old, and you started your career?
I started at 21.
21.
1978, I started doing comedy at the Comedy Store in Hollywood.
Oh my gosh. Now, I'm curious because I've toyed with that idea because I think I'm kind of funny too, some days. So how did you put together an act? I'm very curious.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I never wanted to be a stand-up comic. I didn't even relate to stand-up comedy. I wanted to be an actress, a comedic actress, a writer. My idol at that time, even when I was younger, was Carol Burnett. And I started writing Carol when I was 12, and she wrote me back every single time. And she told me, I told her that I wanted to be like her when I grew up. I wanted to create wonderful laughter, and because there's mean, malicious laughter where you make fun of people, and then there's healthy laughter where you laugh with people. And that's what Carol was able to do. And she had a wonderful sense of humor about herself. And the essence of every letter that I ever received from her was go for it, get into acting in every capacity. She told me there was no guarantee that I would become professional. The important thing is to put out the effort and to try because nobody knows what they can do unless they try.
Wow. This is interesting I'll share this with you right now on my iPad that I'm reading every night before I go to bed. I'm reading about Carol. I'm reading her book.
Oh, wow. Oh my God, what a
I,
coincidence.
yeah, when you said I didn't expect that, and she's marvelous. This book she's sharing. I'm at the part where she's talking about her granny and how she did the
Oh,
ear,
yeah.
and then how she took her little sister to live with her in New York, and
Missy,
this
yeah.
this was meant to be, because I've never had anyone on my show who actually personally knew Carol.
Well, I'll tell you something. I ordered tickets to the Carol Burnett show
Okay,
in 1974. I
okay.
was 17 years old. I went with
Uh,
3 of my friends. I ordered 4 tickets. They drove up to LA with me, and I they sat us way in the back because one of my friends was a wheelchair user. And
oh,
she
okay.
turned to the usher and she said, Geri is deaf. She reads lips. She can't see Carol Burnett's lips from here. She needs the front row seat. And out of all the ushers she could have picked, she picked one that knew sign language. And he
Oh,
was so excited that he knew it. And he was talking to me in sign. And I was making up sign back. And, and he was very confused. And he turned to Audrey. He said, I don't understand that. Well, well, that is the CP version of the language.
that's right. I love it. Oh my gosh. I'm much older than you, dear. And I grew up watching the Gary Moore show.
Oh, yeah. Well, my
I,
mom had a
I,
theory that
yeah.
my love for Carol Burnett came from when she was carrying me, and she used to watch the Gary Moore show.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Amazing how it all circles around and comes together. At that point, it's such an interesting, wonderful life we're living. Share with us, okay, you've met Carol
Well,
Burnett, which
well,
totally impresses me. Talk about meeting Norman Lear. How did that
well,
come
let me finish the Carol Burnett story because you will love this.
up?
We
Okay.
got the front row seat. Remember when she used to raise the house lights and accept questions from the audience?
Yeah.
I was so excited. Oh my God, I get to talk to Carol Burnett. And I raised my hand and she didn't call on me.
Can't
And
believe
by the way, the show that I went to was the one Went with the Wind where she wore the
it. Gone with the Wind?
yes, yes. And
What?
Dinah Shore was guest on that episode.
Oh,
And
I love it.
I kept the show started and I kept complaining to my friend. I can't believe she didn't call on me. I
I know.
really wanted to talk to her. And she
Uh-huh.
said, "Will you shut up?" We're trying to watch the
You're
show.
deaf.
So Tim Conway cracked up Harvey Korman so badly that they had to stop and take a break. And so when they took a break, I went back to the discussion with my friend. I can't believe she didn't call me. And, and Audrey looked at me and she said, well, you better think of what to say because she's coming over here. Oh, she is not. Yes, she is. Oh, come on. And Carol extended her hand. She goes, hi,
Oh,
you must be Geri Jewell.
okay.
And I know I was only 16, 17 years old.
Oh my
I
gosh.
said, how did you know that? Oh, just a clue. Because I wrote her all the time and she knew I had cerebral palsy. And
Okay.
she said, I just want you to know that I love your poetry
Oh,
I love your letters. And I hang up your poetry in my office so everybody can read it.
oh my gosh. How
And
wonderful.
I said, oh, thank you, Carol. Carol, can you do one more thing for me?
Yeah.
She's trying to do a show. What? What do you want me to do? And I said, well, I wrote a paper for my English class on you. And if you sign it, I'll get a better grade.
Okay. Yeah. Good thinking.
And she signed it. And I
Oh,
got an A.
oh, I bet you did. Wow. Your teacher must have been really, really impressed. Right now we're going to take a break and we're going to talk about some people that have been on the show, and they're people that I call priceless personalities. And a lot of them are just like Carol. Have you ever met someone who was unforgettable? Someone who has touched your heart and soul? People who have faced difficult problems? People who have struggled to find solutions? People who fearlessly shared their stories? People who have not only informed you, but inspired you. People who have priceless personalities. I have been fortunate to host an internet radio talk show called January Jones Sharing Success Stories, and it has been my privilege to interview hundreds of guests. My guests have shared their stories, their struggles, their secrets, and their successes in their own words. In this book, we're talking about people dealing with problems such as incest, molestation, runaway kids, child abuse, drug abuse, polygamy, unemployment, scandal, and starting over. Then there are my guests dealing with difficult physical struggles such as blindness, cancer, and birth defects that are beyond traumatic. My guests have all been exciting, eclectic, and energizing. They have amazed, amused, and even astonished me. I have adored getting to meet them, and I adore sharing them with you.
Attention all listeners. Priceless Personalities, Success Stories Shared by January Jones, Volume 2 is now available at Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle editions. You'll be able to meet 10 amazing people who will be sharing their own personal stories with all their struggles, successes, and solutions, sprinkled with lots of humor and hope. Priceless Personalities features a teenager who becomes one of the famous Supremes from Motown. A nurse who, as a humorist, helps people to heal, an inspiring laughter yoga instructor, a mother dealing with the loss of a child, an incredible motivational speaker, a woman who married 5 times, a gifted paranormal nurse, a wise economist, a funny female humorist, along with an older man sharing his sweet childhood in the Deep South. January's guests are all amazing and amusing. You will never forget meeting them. Go to Amazon.com for your own priceless experience.
Welcome back with another priceless personality. And believe me, Carol, if I can ever, I call you Carol, Geri, Carol on the brain. If I ever write volume 3, you're certainly going to have a chapter of your own in my book.
Thank you. What a compliment.
Well, this show is geared for senior success. And as seniors, as a senior, I really appreciate you. Now let's talk about your career. What happened?
Norman Lear.
How did you meet Norman Lear?
Yes. And you can see my t-shirt. It says, I still believe in Norman Lear's America.
Oh, I want to get one of those.
I'll get you one if you want me to.
That'd be great.
I was asked to perform at the 2nd Annual Media Access Awards in 1980.
Okay.
And in the audience that night, Norman Lear was there, including Charlotte Rae.
Oh, okay.
And Norman came up to me after my show, and he said, you're really funny, kid, but you're way before your time. I said, so wait a couple months.
Yeah. So that's brilliant, and it wasn't
He
foreplanned.
laughed. He couldn't believe I said that.
Perfect. I love your.
And 2 months later, he cast me on Facts of Life.
Really? Wow.
Cousin.
Oh, what an amazing story, success story. And to have Charlotte Ray, I never missed that show either. These are just people who are legends in early television, weren't they?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. And it was surreal. It was amazing experience to have. Um,
Yeah. Okay. For our listeners who didn't have the opportunity to watch Facts of Life, explain how you became Cousin Geri and how they brought you into the show for our listeners.
well, Joel Kimmel and Gibbs wrote the actual first episode, Cousin Geri,
Oh,
and
really?
Norman's thinking was number one. Remember in the first season of Facts, they had a lot more girls.
Mhm,
Remember, and they
mhm.
had to cut the cast because there were too many girls.
Right. Yeah.
And they brought in Nancy McKeon
Mhm.
before they ever were aware of me.
Okay.
So they couldn't add me as another student, even though I looked young.
Uh-huh.
It would have been brilliant to have a kid with a disability in a private school.
Oh,
It,
yeah.
but like Norman said, I was before my time.
Mhm. You
And,
were.
and I know what he meant, really. I knew what he meant.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So his thinking was to make me Blair's cousin because it would bring out the humanness in Blair.
Oh,
Because Blair was so perfect and so
yeah. One of those. So beautiful.
and it worked. Um,
Uh-huh.
with a good chemistry. In fact, I'm going to have dinner with Lisa Wexler tomorrow. So we are still connected. And
Wonderful. Yeah.
yes,
Well, I'm a fan of all of you. For our listeners, how long were you with the show, and how did it? I know that created opportunities for you in so many other shows. Share that with us, okay?
well, truthfully, there was a lot of trauma in my life at that time
Oh.
be, because my ex-manager embezzled all my money
Oh my
that I
God.
made. And there were so many people taking advantage of me. And because I was so young and so naive, and that's common in Hollywood. I just had the disability thing on top. But Lisa Wexler really looked after me. In fact, we became roommates for a year.
Oh, okay.
And so there was a lot of support, but there were so many things that were going wrong. And when the fifth season came along, I was on for 4 seasons. They only offered me one episode.
Oh, okay.
And my new manager, my other manager, was waiting for his file. But my new manager said, don't accept it because it's a slap in the face. You've been on that series for 4 years. Now they're just offering you one episode. You'll get
Mm-hmm.
more. Don't worry about it. So we turned it down. I didn't want to, but
No.
I trusted my new manager, and he was right theoretically. You know,
Uh-huh.
he
Yeah.
was but they said you either take one episode or bye bye.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's
And
Hollywood. Yeah.
yeah, it's Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, just say bye bye. You'll get work in a heartbeat.
Okay.
I did not get work for 7 or 8 years.
Wow. Wow. Now, did you fire him?
No, 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 no. And he did so much for me.
Uh-huh.
In fact, all his management fees he put in an account for me, never took any cent.
Oh, wow.
And when he gave up, he had tears in his eyes. I've
Uh,
tried everything.
mhm. Yeah.
I can't get you where you're supposed to be,
Mhm.
but here's all your management fees back to you. And he gave me a check.
Oh, oh my
Didn't
God.
do the job that I promised to do. Now that is rare.
Yeah, that's he's the real deal. That's the kind of person you
He
want
is.
to have represent you.
And there was too much negativity around me at that time, and Hollywood was not willing to
Mhm.
really look at it. And also I think because there were all these rumors that I was gay, I think that was a problem also. They go, oh no, no, no.
Oh my gosh, when it rains, it pours. Oh dear. Yeah. But then eventually you started quite a career. And I noticed that I probably have seen you many times because you even did Sesame Street.
I did, and that was my new manager's credit.
Oh,
He
okay.
did that for me.
Yeah.
That was in 1984,
1984. Okay. Okay. Yeah. You know,
and it was my last year on Fax.
oh,
And
that's okay.
and they were so excited about having me on the show, but they asked me if I did anything other than stand-up comedy, because stand-up comedy is kind of tough for 4-year-olds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a skill that 4-year-olds would like? And I said, sure, I can roller skate. And the minute that left my lips, I thought, wow, not only do I have cerebral palsy, I have mental health issues.
Yeah. I'm kind of thinking, how did she do that? I could barely walk in your
Well,
roller skate.
it was interesting. My parents did buy me a pair of skates for Christmas one year, and there's like Super 8 video of me on Christmas Day skating on my
Oh,
skate. Now,
oh,
I was never great at it, and I never really learned how to stop. I would
mm,
just hit a tree or a wall or whatever. What I was
yeah.
great at was skateboarding. I was
Oh,
I was a heck of a skateboarder. I don't know why I didn't say a skateboard, but I
yeah.
picked the skates,
Uh-huh.
and Kel Spinney, who was the puppeteer inside Big Bird, was so excited because he knew how to skate as Big Bird. He said,
Oh,
wow, I can skate with Geri Jewell. Oh, that'll be perfect. So they flew
oh,
me to New York, and we did a dress rehearsal the night before, but wardrobe forgot my skates. So I
oh,
walked to all my marks, and it was a piece of cake walking, and
yeah, right.
Big Bird was on skates. The next
Uh-huh.
day, they gave me my skates in front of a live audience of 4-year-olds and their parents. And they
Yeah.
said, they opened the curtain and they said, okay, go to your mark. You know where it is. You saw it last night. Go.
Uh,
I was going so fast. Now, this was a matter of seconds that I realized that I didn't know how to stop. And I thought either I'm going to hit the camera or I'm going to go over the railing and hit these parents, the 4-year-olds. Oh, that could be messy. So then I thought, okay, where is the safest place to stop? And I thought it was going to be to hit Big Bird because he was big and soft and I could grab him and it would work out. I hit him so hard his head fell off and it rolled across the stage. And these 4-year-olds were screaming that I killed him. They're still in therapy today.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. I think I must have missed that episode. Yeah, it was such a wonderful show. At that many years ago, I was a young widow and I had two small children, and we actually used to eat dinner every night in so we could eat with Mr. Rogers at Sesame
Oh,
Street,
God,
and
yeah.
we kind of thought we were part of his family, and that show was incredible. But so was Big Bird hurt or was he okay?
Yeah, Carol and I actually became friends, and he said I was the only celebrity guest that ever decapitated him. But but my newest book,
Yes,
Geri, Jewels, and Gems.
Yes.
When 2020 came along and we were all dealing with COVID and isolation and depression and fear and all the other stuff that went along with it,
Right.
I thought, what can I do to create positivity and not really put me out there per se and do stand-up? Because I haven't done stand-up in a while, but I'm back at it a little bit. But I thought, I wrote for Ability Magazine, which is a wonderful magazine, for 6 years. And I called the editor, Chet Cooper, and I said, can I have all the columns that I wrote for Ability and produce a coffee table book? And he said, yes, you can, as long as you give Ability Magazine credit. Well, of course. The next step was I needed someone to write the foreword for it. And Norman Lear. Yes. I went to Norman, I called him up, I said, I have a book. Can I share it with you? He said, sure, come on over. So I went over to his house and I asked him if he would write the foreword. It's a coffee table book, Norman. And he said, well, what if they don't have a coffee table? Then what do they do?
Okay, good question.
And he wrote, his last gift to me was writing the foreword at 101. At 101 years old.
Wow, that is.
I'm having an incredible book launch on August 7th at Barnes & Noble in LA. And you can go to the Barnes & Noble website and there's a link, Geri, Jewels, and Gems. And it's an uplifting book. It'll inspire, it'll make you laugh. Occasionally a little tears, but good tears.
Well, I'm not in California anymore. I'm retired in Florida, but I'll tell my California daughter about it August 7th, and maybe she and my granddaughter and grandson can stop by to visit you. We have to go now. This has been such a delight having you.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, and there's your kitty again. I forgot to bring my Well, next time we have you on the show, Ginger Ale will make a guest appearance. And I want to.
I have January.
Oh, it's wonderful. I have an 80-year-old joke I have to try. So why was the glitter granny always happy? Because she knew how to shimmer through life's ups and downs.
I like that. Okay, that's good.
My attempt at humor. So now, all my listeners, thank you for entering the no whine zone for us. And remember, you need to stop whining and then start smiling, just like Geri does every day. And if that doesn't work, then you can start eating chocolate. Lots and lots of chocolate. This is the Glitter Granny signing off. Thank you, Geri, and do come back again.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you.
Okay.
We want to thank you for listening to January Jones Sharing Success Stories. Always remember Ms. Jones' personal mantra, if you can think it, you can do it. That's what all of our guests have done with their lives, and so can you. You are the ultimate success coach in your own life. All you need to do will be to start sharing your own story with your family and friends. We hope that our guest stories will encourage you to explore an equation in your future that will combine your creativity plus connecting with others will enable you to be successful too. Always remember, your passion plus your purpose will equal prosperity as you explore the wonderful world of January Jones.